Hi, welcome back. In this video we will create a simple program. We will start with this list and then we will create a program which outputs this 3 lines here. So the program will sort the items alphabetically. As you see, Ben is the first one, John, and then comes Sen. And we will also place a number before each of the items here in the output. So let's do that. How can we do this? So you see that this is an iterative operation, so we're doing the same thing over and over again. So naturally you think of for loops. And here we're not simply printing out the items but also the indexes. So you start thinking about accessing the indexes with the enumerate function. Therefore we need something like for index item in enumerate waiting list. Then we want to construct a string, perhaps a row. So it's an f string. It's going to have a variable which is the index, and then after the index we have a dot, and then another variable which is the item. Notice that items should be capitalized, so let's add a dot capitalize method here. So it is possible to add expressions inside these curly brackets and not only variables. And then if you print out row and you run the script, you're going to get this 0, Sen, 1, Ben, 2, John. So we need to change 0 to 1. To do that, you can just add 1 and all the indices will be shifted by 1. So now we have 1, 2, 3. But the items are not sorted alphabetically. So how can we sort a list? How do we handle this? Where do we go to find a way to sort lists? Where the first thing to go to is to check dir list to see if there's a method that modifies the list. So just scroll, and it seems there exists a method, so perhaps sort is the answer here. So if you check help list.sort, you see that it sorts the list in ascending order and returns none. So all we have to do is point to the variable that holds the list and then to the sort method, and don't forget the parentheses. If I execute this script now, you'll see that Ben will be the first one, followed by John, followed by Sen. So the items are sorted alphabetically successfully. As you can see, we didn't have to assign a new variable to the list, because as I explained you in the previous video, lists are mutable. That means the method will mutate the list. So the method itself doesn't return anything. You see here, return none. So the method doesn't return a list. In the case of strings, string methods, they return the new string. So just to refresh your memory, if you had like hello.replace, so that's a method of a string, and you replace perhaps O with X, you press enter, you get hell X in return. So the replace method returns a string. But if you have a list such as C, D, and B, and you say dot sort, you press enter, you get nothing as output. So the sort method doesn't return anything. Otherwise we would have seen that output here in the console. Now the list itself is sorted, and it is somewhere floating in this interpreter session. and we cannot access it because we didn't assign it to a variable. So if you wanted this list to be accessible, you'd want to first assign it into a variable, such as my list is equal to that, and then you say my list sort. Again, no output is generated because the lists are mutable, and the sort method doesn't return an output, but my list has now been sorted. So B is the first letter, C is the second, and D is the last one. And lastly, how do you sort the list in descending order? Well, you can see the help file, and you'll see that there is a reverse equal to false argument. That means if you say reverse equals to true, and you check my list, you're going to see that D is the first one, followed by C, followed by B. So by default, the reverse is false, which means the list will be sorted in ascending order alphabetically. And that was the example for today. Thanks a lot.